Hello everyone, welcome to the Whitby Public Library's online science program, Giant Science. So today we are going to be doing a science experiment where we make Oobleck. Now Oobleck is a pretty cool substance. It's actually not quite a solid and it's not quite a liquid. Now it's called a non-Newtonian fluid. Try saying that 3 times fast. Non-Newtonian fluid, non-Newtonian fluid, non-Newtonian fluid. It's kind of fun. So a non-Newtonian fluid basically acts like a solid sometimes and acts like a liquid sometimes. So if I had it in my hand and I squeeze it really hard and I put lots of pressure on it, it's going to turn into a solid. But as soon as I let go of that pressure, I stop squeezing my hands, it'll act like a liquid and it'll melt. So we have a few examples of non-Newtonian fluids. Ketchup is a non-Newtonian fluid, so if you shake the ketchup bottle, it'll change the way that the ketchup acts. It'll turn from more of a solid form to more of a liquid form. And also quicksand is a non-Newtonian fluid. So quicksand, if you were sinking in quicksand, if you move really, really slowly, you're not putting any pressure on the quicksand and you'll be able to escape. So before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Exploratorium, which is where I found this pretty cool science experiment for Oobleck. Now let's get started. The supplies that you're going to need for this experiment are cornstarch, some water, food coloring. Now food coloring is optional, so if you don't have it, that's okay. Then you're also going to need a bowl, a spoon, and a measuring cup. So the first thing that we're going to do is measure out our cornstarch. So for this experiment, we have a 2-to-1 ratio. So that means that however much cornstarch you're using, you're going to use 2 of those, so 2 cups of the cornstarch versus 1 cup of the water. So we'll take 1 scoop. There we go, 1. And 2. Perfect. So that's the 2 of my ratio. I'm going to put the lid back on it so I don't knock it over. And now for the 1 water, I'm going to use 1 measuring cup worth of my water. I'm going to pour it over. All right, so then we're going to stir this up. Now it's going to feel kind of funny when you're stirring it. That's because the water and the cornstarch don't necessarily mix together like if you added sugar into water or something like that. So I'm going to scrape this off of my spoon and I'm going to use my hands. Now this gets a little bit messy. Now, mine seems too dry. So what I'm going to do is take my water. I'm going to add a little bit more to my mixture just to try to get it a little bit more mixed up. Let's see how that works. All right, so it's almost mixed up. Now, this is when I'm also going to add in my food coloring. So let's scrape some of this off my hands and add in our food coloring. Now I'm going to put a little bit into here and do 2 drops and see how that mixes up, and then we'll add a little bit more if we need it. Let's see. All right, I think that's pretty good. Now, when you're making Oobleck, what you're going to do to see if it's ready is take a little scoop of it, and if it feels like there's a solid when you squeeze it together, that means that it's ready. Now mine feels too liquidy still, so I'm actually going to have to add a little bit more cornstarch. I'm going to take my spoon and I'm just going to sprinkle it over. And we'll mix it back in. Perfect. So I think that feels a little bit better. Let's test it. So let's take a little bit and and squeeze. It's not quite going as a solid yet, so I'm gonna wipe my hands off. I have some paper towel over here. Let's wipe that off, and we're gonna sprinkle a little bit more cornstarch on. So when you're making oobleck, it's a little bit of trial and error. So you might have to test it and then add a little bit more of your cornstarch or your water. If it gets too clumpy, add some water. If it gets too liquidy, add some more cornstarch. So let's see. All right, so I think that's pretty good. Okay, so we're going to take a scoop and hold it and watch as it melts. I'll take another one. You can see how it starts off kind of solid and then it completely turns into a liquid when I take the pressure off. So that is how we know it's a non-Newtonian liquid, which is a pretty fun term to say. Do one more. Cool. All right, let's try some other fun experiments with our oobleck. Okay, so let's try a couple experiments with our oobleck. First thing we're going to do is take our spoon and we're just going to tap it on the surface and see what happens. See if it acts like a liquid or if it acts like a solid. So let's start. That's not quite what a liquid would do, huh? If you tapped your spoon on a glass of water, it would go splashing all over the place, wouldn't it? So this one, it's acting like a solid. Now let's try doing the same thing with your hands. So tap your fingers really fast on the surface, and it's not splashing or even really sticking to your hands much. My hands aren't very wet, like they would be if I was tapping my fingers on a glass of water. But if I took my hand and I put it on the surface and I let it sink in, now it's sunk all the way to the bottom. Now we're gonna try something. Try pulling your hand out really fast and see what happens. Ready? Oh, it got really stuck. Now, would that happen if you tried to pull your hand out of a glass of water or a bowl of water? It wouldn't get stuck. Now, that means that we're adding pressure and making it act like a solid. So it's not acting like a liquid anymore. But if you sink your hand into it really slowly, it does act like a liquid because your hand would sink into a glass of water. So let's try to pull our hand out slowly. See what happens. Oh. There. We didn't put any pressure on it, so it was acting like a liquid. Let's try one more time to pull it out fast again and see what happens when we add pressure. Ready? Oh, gets stuck again. All right, now I'm just gonna wipe some of this off of my hand. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, we're gonna try stirring it. So if you put one finger in and you try to stir it nice and fast. That wouldn't quite happen if you were trying to stir something into soup or hot chocolate. That wouldn't happen. Let's try to stir it slowly. So sink your finger in and stir really slow. That's more like it. Is it acting like a liquid now? Yeah. So we're not putting too much pressure on it when we're moving slowly. When we're moving fast, it puts lots of pressure on it and makes it act like a solid. So let's tap our fingers one more time. So that is our oobleck acting like a solid. And sink your hand. That is our oobleck acting like a liquid. So it's just like when we pick it up and it acts like a solid for a second and then it melts just like a liquid if we were trying to hold water in our hands. Let's try one more time. And it melts. Super cool. Now, something that could be really fun, try some experiments of your own at home with your oobleck. You could try putting something on the surface and watching it sink and compare it to if you have a bowl of water beside you and see if it acts differently. You could also show someone at home your oobleck, don't tell them what it is, and have them guess. Have them guess if it's a solid, guess if it's a liquid, even guess how you made it. And you could even say, watch, guess what will happen when I tap my fingers on the surface of this substance, and see if they can get it right. See if they'll guess that your fingers will just bounce right off and they won't go through. Awesome. That was so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed making your own oobleck at home. I put a few links in the description box for a few books on Hoopla. They have some science experiments that you could try at home using things that you'd probably be able to find in your kitchen. Thank you so much for watching. Follow us on social media here, and also visit us at whippylibrary.ca for more of our online programs and for information about our collections. If you tried this at home, make sure to share it on social media with us. We'd love to see it. All right, have a great day. Bye.